this is a really good one as well. What does it mean to be hid in Christ? And that's from, if you go over to Colossians, go to Colossians chapter, oh, I'm right here. Colossians chapter number 3. Colossians 3. We were talking about in our Titus study today that the book of Colossians, the Apostle Paul mentions the word hid. He talks about, speaking of the mystery in chapter 1, he says in chapter 1:26 about the mystery, even the mystery which hath been hid from ages and from generations. Look at in chapter 2, verse 3, speaking of Christ, in whom are hid all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. See, Colossians is about the faithful saint holding up the head. And this issue of hidden, there's some effort to dig out, to search it out, right? The one that this brother is asking about, hid in Christ, this is chapter 3, Colossians 3, verse 1. If you then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God. Set your affection on things above, not on things on earth. Affection, that would be like the Bible's version of emotion. That's where your affection, your attention, the things that move you. Not on things on this earth. Nothing associated. He says, set your affection on things above. In fact, Philippians, Paul says, for our conversation is in heaven. Don't mind these earthly things. Verse 2, he says, Colossians 3, set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth, okay? Verse 3, for ye are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God. And what Paul is dealing with is a positional truth there. What does it mean to be hid? The questioner asks, and who am I hid from? And do you have an extra info? Well, that issue, your life is hid with Christ in God. That has to do with, that's protection, eternal security. It's hid with Christ in God. You can't serve the Lord properly until you first understand your eternal security, your security. I deal with people all the time, and they haven't had the issue of salvation cleared up in their thinking, their understanding. And without that, you can't properly serve the Lord, because you're wondering day by day, am I doing something that's displeasing, that's going to keep me out of heaven? You know, if you don't, you have to first have, and Colossians is a book of service, and you have to first understand your security. And so when he says, in verse 3, Colossians 3:3, for ye are dead. And he's talking about positionally. Obviously, we're still alive now, and physically. Obviously, the issue of dead, you're dead positionally in Christ. When he died, we're buried with him and we're raised with him. So positionally, that's where we are. We can mortify the deeds of the body, he's saying later in Colossians 3. So let's look at Colossians 3:3. For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God. And he calls him Christ. He didn't call him Jesus. He didn't call him the Lord. He called him Christ because he's focusing that his suffering on Calvary's cross is why positionally you're secure in God. So there's a protection and eternal security Paul is dealing with. For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God. You see that? So what does it mean to be hid in Christ? You're protected. You're eternally secure. Positionally, God already sees you with him in the heavenly places because you're with him. You're in God. You see that? And if you're in God, nobody can take you out of that, okay?